doing the intro stuff. Hello, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining today for another episode of Family Office Insights Luminary Series with my dear friend Alex Fredericks, who many of you have seen perhaps on the podcast and in prior episodes. So thank you for joining us today, and thank you for participating in the Family Office Insights forums as we do these regularly. And also, we know you're there. We can't hear or see you, but we encourage you to put questions as they come to mind in the chat box or the Q&A, and we'll get to as many as we can. Also, we have Sean Brown here, who's the, I'm going to screw this up, COO, CFO, all-encompassing Yoda, right?
Yeah. Chief of staff, how's that?
Chief of Staff, fair enough. Uh, so full disclosure, a couple things. I have a financial interest in the success of ToneWell, not only because I've got big faith in Alex, but I also have big faith in the product being a power user, let's say that, along with Mary. And so we're super happy. And also, there's somebody else that you may or may not know that's involved is a good friend, Bear, who has architected a lot of what's being used in ToneWell, and Alex will get into that a little later, I think. So again, thanks for everybody joining us today. If there's the objective here, just to be clear, is that we're in a raise round. And after hearing what you hear today, we're going to record this and put it on the YouTube channel. But also, if you care to share that with others, or if there are others that you think would be interested in this round, we'll make sure you can get in touch directly with Alex to get into the weeds a little bit about that. So again, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Sean. Alex, thank you. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Arthur. I appreciate everybody showing up for us today. Just real quick on my background before we jump in here. I spent 2 decades at the intersection of music, brand, consumer growth, from Sony Music and global artists to building and scaling consumer brands. The thread of all of that, though, is the same skill that I've taken throughout my life, which is taking technically complex ideas and turning them into product people actually want to use every day. That is actually the constraint of the voice wellness space right now. So just so you understand, everything that we're doing, the science exists, the translation layer did not. And that's what we have built in ToneWell. So your voice tells your body's story. At all time, your nervous system and your physiology is being broadcast through your voice box. What we do is we translate it. We are not a wearable. We are not a clinic, and we do not process labs. So we can understand the opportunity as we see it. I don't like problems. I like opportunity. The fact is that every week, 230 million people are asking AI about their health and their wellness. Every week. 58.5% of that audience are adults that are seeking information digitally, your chatbots, your Google searches. 84% call wellness their top priority, but only 13% say that they're actually achieving their goals. So where everybody has a wearable telling you what happened, most people have processed labs a few times a year that's only telling you what's wrong. We've all seen the wellness apps that give very generic content, and your generic AI system, your Claudes, your ChatGPTs, your Geminis, well, they don't actually know you. So they're answering without any sort of personal signal. The truth of the matter is that none of them are answering the two most basic questions. Why don't I feel well? And what should I do today? And that is exactly where ToneWell comes in. At that moment of intention, the why don't I feel well? Why don't I function well? And what we do is we translate how somebody feels and how they're feeling off into personal insights.
So Alex, hang on one second. Just everybody might not know this, but this is really simple. It's complex technology, but simple to execute. You take your phone, you put a 30-second voice note without reading something, just casually having a conversation, a 30-second uh, talk. You just say whatever's on your mind. I just want to make sure everybody understands what activates this.
Yep. So to Arthur's point, from your voice to a vitality sign in seconds. We are very simple. Speak, discover, thrive. So using the ubiquitousness of your telephone, you speak non sequitur, nothing planned, whatever you want to say. Nobody actually listens to the file. Feel free to use it as a confessional. You can speak for just 30 seconds. At the end of that 30 seconds, we then do the rest of the work. We translate that 30-second file using acoustics and temporal and waveform and a dedicated registered 150,000 point database overlay into 8 mapping categories, the things that we find that most people are asking questions about: their energy, their sleep, stress, hydration, inflammation, mineral load, toxins, and pathogens. I'm going to reiterate toxins and pathogens. So we're living in worlds and times that we know are complicated, from our food systems to our air. And it is good to know if you have microplastics, let alone Candida or H. pylori. And then from that, we have what is our concierge intelligence layer, the third step. And that's where you get to thrive. Speak, discover, thrive. Thrive is, what are the action plans for day one moving forward? How do you make better choices to have better decisions, to make better habits, to have better outcomes? And that is the simplicity of what we've built. There is nothing to download. We come to you. There's nothing to wear. There's no blood, no urine, no hair, no swab. So now we can understand some of the technology, because it sounds very complicated, but there are 3 basic layers, as I've just pointed out. First is the signal layer. Speak into your phone. The average telephone today has a microphone as good as Abbey Roads from the 1970s. So the
Wow.
quality is there.
Wow.
It is wild. Well, they tell us that we can launch a space shuttle with the power of the phone, so maybe the microphone should be good enough to detect the nuance of your voice. From there, we use what's called FFT-based voice signal analysis. That stands for fast Fourier transfer. That takes the words that I'm saying and makes them zeros and ones, which is actually how we're having this conversation right now. I'm on a wireless laptop outside of Princeton, New Jersey. Arthur is hosting us outside of Utah, and yet it's happening in real time. That's happening because the processor in my computer, from the microphone I'm speaking through, makes my voice into zeros and ones, and it can move at the speed of light at that motion. From there, we, as I mentioned, have a licensed static reference database. Why the word static is very important is because it is auditable, defendable, and scalable. It does not vary. It does not wave. Our database is based upon one-to-one, meaning the signal that I put in as true is the answer that I get out that correlates it to true. There is no drift. The misnomer of our business is that is where our AI is built in. Matter of fact, that is the last place the AI is built in, because we need to be able to defend our output to our client base. We then move on to our translation layer. That is what we've built from stem to stern. It takes care of the readiness taxonomy and the prioritization logic. And what I mean by prioritization logic is, though we're looking at 150,000 points of reference, if I gave you that information, you would not know what to do with it. So we make a priority list in what our plain English report is. Our performance readiness scan, or PRS report, prioritizes the top 5 things you can work on, the things that should be on your radar, and then the top 1 or 2 items that full stop you should address today, so that the Rube Goldberg machine of your wellness starts tipping in your favor as opposed to out of control. We take that and deliver, as I said, a personalized wellness intelligence that is translated from your voice signal through the patterns into clear, actionable next steps. And then our third layer is, what do I do with this? Well, that is the relationship layer, and actually where the moat of our business is truly defined. We have built our intelligence concierge with an intake for user context. Our brain learns both contextually, so what have you said, and temporally, when did you say that? Meaning, if you were to give me information at 2:15 on a Monday, I should hear what you are saying, archive it, pull out the facts from it, and then put it in a time and place because that is going to affect what I'm saying. That's different than 7 a.m. on Sunday, I'm sure we could all argue. So from there, we have options of our how one participates with us. Our voice to text check-ins could be email based solely. They can be SMS based, or we have a WhatsApp feature so that, again, we find you. There's no app to download. There's no interaction that you need to do secondarily. Excuse me. On our science, we are working from published field research. It has established very well that voice is a true signal source. Not only do we have our own proprietary science and findings, but there are institutions like the Mayo Clinic, Harvard, MIT, NIH that all not just agree with us, but have published their own sources of truth. What ToneWell does is we apply our license reference engine plus the proprietary translation and the relationship layer to clearly separate what a wellness guideline can be from a diagnosis. I'm going to explain diagnosis. As I said earlier, in labs and clinics. That is telling you what's wrong. What ToneWell does is tells you what is going on so that you can make choices to affect the outcome of your wellness. So whom are we speaking of and to what volume? So the total addressable market is 9.15 billion. That's 155 million US citizens that are seeking digital health outcomes and are our early one-off scan opportunity. That is, as I mentioned earlier, 58.5% of US adults already seeking health answers. So if you just came and did a one-off with us just for one-time answer, that's a pretty large market. However, the actual addressable market of today, as we see it, is 5.6 billion. That is broken down to 57 million digital health active consumers in our initial reachable market. From the studies that we have done and the surveys that we've done, women 35 and above are the strongest proven entry cohort to date. We obviously have additional consumers that we will get to, men, younger children, biohackers, but women themselves, 35 and above, generate 74% of our early meta response at a 38% lower cost for acquisition result. We believe that to be that women track more things, are interested in more health outcomes than men, the barbaric people that we are, who just want an answer and then left to our own devices. Outside of this, though, we have an enterprise side, which is very important to point out, talking about corporate wellness, executive health, practitioners, operational readiness, which is what we call intergovernmental relationships, and our embedded power by channels. So we are a powered by business. Think of us as the Intel chip for the translation layer of wellness. How do you move from the objective, I don't know what's wrong with me, ChatGPT, to the subjective? Oh, I now know exactly who you are, Alex. Let me give you real answers as opposed to broad answers. Where we are as of today, our traction points. Our foundational build is over 30,000 scans. That is inclusive of our development analysis across testing, refinement, and bespoke delivery. Bespoke delivery, as Arthur might attest to, I have been doing this for a little over 2 years, and this started as people sending me physical voice files, me manually running them through our proprietary analysis, and then A/B testing, build out with my partner, Dr. Bear Walker, who I will address in a moment, our templates by which we could deliver actionable items to people. We have a purpose-built static architecture designed for the understanding of our continuity and the ability to prevent drift. As I said earlier, it is static, it is scalable, defendable, and auditable. So when we make a reference to what a particular hertz or a particular wavelength means, it is able to be rooted in factual truths, not an opinion. Our platform is currently live. We have our consumer platform readiness ready. Our stated algorithmic engagement is fully deployed. Our automated performance readiness report is deliverable in under 5 minutes to your email, engageable through our web-based apps for a download PDF, and our intelligence concierge is live supporting our full user journey. Matter of fact, am happy to say that Mary is in our alpha group of our intelligence concierge, testing out our 10-day reset, which is 2 scans piled in an intentional and attentional program. How do I work on something with an outcome? Our next value inflection. We need to very simply identify who the highest converted audience is, what the message, and what our offer combination is. By offer combination, we mean how many scans to what level? Are they full scans? Are they daily check-ins? How do I help you through the funnel pipeline of intention and attention so that your input and your output match your wellness opportunity? We have to establish our repeatable paid acquisition and channel economics. And from there, we want to move the value proposition from scan reset to what ultimately becomes the membership journey. The core technology is built, the platform is live. The next phase is focused on the repeatable, the scalable, and the intentional build. Our business model, it's very straightforward. As of today, we are scan-based. We have a 1 scan at 59, a 10-day reset, which is a 2 scan proposition for 99. Both of those have the ability to work with our intelligence concierge so that we build a corpus of information on people so that if you do return for a secondary scan down the road, our information and our brain knows who you are and can pick up from that point. The 10-day reset is based upon intention and attention. What are your priorities? How can we help you reset in 10 days? From there, we will be moving into our monthly opportunity. Our 1 month is 1 major scan, and then working with us over the course of the month to build out a longer wellness plan for you. And then our executive level scan is a scan a week that helps you drive into deeper development. Let's say you're an athlete working on something. Let's say that you're somebody on a nutritional plan trying to lose weight. How are you managing your micros so that the macro moves along? And then lastly, we intend to move into what would be a daily scan. So that would be a monthly high rate user. So every day you could do a check-in with us. You're not going to get the full boat, but you're going to get an opportunity set of what to prioritize on that day. On that day for your wellness as we can move forward.
So who would that be? Give us an example of that.
So that person is a couple people, actually. That person we've chosen into like the biohacker that is working on something that really wants to dive into their daily habits, that is looking for the measurable thing to track every day, their coherence score, and wants to know how to maximize their day. So you could set something of the notion, I'm working on my energy, my inflammation, my digestion, and every day I want to check in because maybe I'm looking for what to eat today, how to exercise today. Am I taking a magnesium supplement or a manganese supplement or an iron supplement today? What is happening with me? The executive traveler that is always on the go, that wants to make sure that they're not run down. We just see it as an opportunity for people to come in and gamify themselves, because that's what we've been taught to do. It's really what the wearables do. It's why most people turn them off, is because you recognize at the end of the day, you're not getting an answer for the output. And we think that we can affect that. So in our phase 3, we are building out our platform so that people can engage their APIs of their wearables, their 8 Sleeps, their Garmins, their Auras, their Whoops, upload their HRV, upload their other tests that they do, and then really we become the daily check-in. For under $10, you're going to come in, you're going to get your score, you're going to get a priority rating for the day, the top 2 things that you can do, and that also helps matching upon our, we'll call it long form opportunity, where a 5 or 7 or 9 page report every day, that's paralysis to analysis, right? Or analysis to paralysis. Like, it's too much information for you to actively do something with every day. So we're going to boil it down to how do you eat the elephant one bite at a time. And on that level, it gives us deeper engagement, deeper insights. As I said, one of our moats is the relationship layer that we are building with our client base. And because we have a contextual brain, when engaging with something that remembers you, how was your child's birthday? Did that stressful meeting go well? How was that pitch? And it's helping you achieve the excellence you want in your life, more energy, better sleep, more hydration. My digestion's feeling better. I didn't know I had candida, whatever it might be. That's where we think that the opportunity lies, which actually speaks a bit to the enterprise and our channel partners. So I am, as of tomorrow, down in Washington, D.C., meeting with the innovation office from the VA, because our goal is to start working with veteran cohorts in what is mental health. And in that, there is a pilot program that we would have to build out architecture and rails for. So we intend to have a paid pilot program, and then for the implementation of what it is that we actually need to build out in a scope. Same is true in corporate wellness, or if you're a channel partner, if you're a hospitality or a resort, and somebody comes to you specifically for a practice. You are We Care in Palm Desert, known for colonics and juice fasting. Well, when somebody shows up, they have done a ToneWell, you know what's going on in their gut biome, and you can better outline the program for their experience so they get the best out of it. Somewhere in the course of that, like your 10-day retreat there, you've done another one and you can see how the gut biome's going. And then when you've returned home to your house, you get a third ToneWell for the integration point. Maybe we'll call it for the nutrition. Well, that channel partner needs very specific informational prompting and data return. It's part of our enterprise program that we actually share the back end analytic data with our partners so that they can make diagnostic calls. That is not our job. Our job is to analyze the best that we can. And then there's the basic unit economics. So as I've mentioned a few times, we are a licensed technology, though we have a master license proprietarily in the category, it is still a license. So we pay out a 15% user-based royalty that helps us support an 85% margin. In our competitive pricing structure, that's how we're able to go from the single scan at $59 all the way down to the daily scan at $9.97 or whatever it might fall at that time, and then allows us to engage with other cohorts. For example, the VA is a cost per user as opposed to a cost per scan. Just for edification, the Veteran Association pays between $1,300 and $1,500 per vet per month on health. So if we can get in there and not just loosen up the congestion and engage with the well-being of the veterans, we're also able to satisfy a large opportunity for them. They collect about 100 million pieces of data a month, yet they're not able to answer for their vets, how do I feel better and how do I function better? And that's where we come in. These are our projections. I'm happy to share them afterwards, but just so we understand, these are very conservative because both myself and Sean and our team This isn't our first rodeo, and we believe that the long tail is actually the way to get to exponential growth. So very conservatively, we're starting at 200. We will start at 200 scans a month in our model and move to 8,300 scans in month 12 and 13,000 scans by month 36. Our target scan in year 1 is 50,000, 120,000 in 2, 150,000 in 3. We believe that once we begin to grow both sides of our business, the enterprise and the direct consumer, those numbers will exponentially grow, but we do not need to run for many reasons. In our year 1 revenue projections at 1.41 million and our growth to 3.2 by year 2 and 4.2 in year 3, that our profitability break even occurs in year 1, and that's including operating cash flow as well as paying back some of the debt that we carry. We are a very nice margin-based business. We believe that the word of mouth will carry this into wonderful success. As a built-in API translation layer, we see wonderful opportunities in the powered by set, how ToneWell integrates into hardware, software, other offerings, your smart fridge, your car, your wearable, so on and so forth. So we are been very modest in our numbers because we don't only believe that we will hit them, but on that basis alone, our break even is pretty close to touchable, and then from there, kind of sky's the limit.
And
I will not.
these numbers don't include any enterprise
No,
revenue.
those are all of those numbers are direct to consumer numbers. So all of this again goes away when we land a VA, when we land a telemedicine company, so forth and so forth. So our team is comprised of the following. I'm going to say this first. We are not a company that will have multiple businesses with multiple buildings with multiple floors full of people. It is not necessary. So I am Alex Fredericks. Pleasure to be here. My co-founder and dear friend, Dr. Bear Walker, has not just 35 years as a clinician with a PhD and is a board certified MD, but actually he's at one of the more sought after naturopaths on the East Coast and is a true pioneer in frequency biotrackers. Built the first one for NASA in the early 1980s on using resonant frequency to track the systems within inside of the body. Oliver Blandon is our, I'm sorry, his name got cut off there. Oliver, who you see there in the white collared shirt, is our technology partner. He has an amazing company out of South Africa called Polaris. Sean Brown, who is on our call with us in the bottom right, is our chief admin, chief officer, administration, and all things back office. Adam Krim is our business developer, and Dominic Cariciello in the top right is a retired brigadier general, ran the 101st Airborne, that's 36,000 people, and then moved on to Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, and alike. As you can tell, we're all very senior operators. We have been through this dance a couple times. So the ask, so we can just get where we are today. We are looking to raise 1.5 million as a safe note. Our cap is at a 10 million cap. We are looking to raise against a 20% discount. The validation layer is where we are. So our use of proceeds are going exactly that, from scan volume to moving people through the pipeline, our membership implementation, the continuous development of our intelligence architecture, our back end and prompt engineering. It is our intention to bring in sector experts to help us with things like mindset, nutrition, supplementation, and so forth, so that our prompts and our answers grow every day. And then we intend to get our signals and our pilots up and running. That is where our milestones are. We intend that in the next 18 months to hit all of our numbers and then move over into new rounds of funding. We believe that we are in a numbers game, and where the world is hot, flat, and crowded in wellness, and everybody's on the field, we then believe that that means that the stands are full of spectators. And all we need to do is make a couple really good moves on the field, and we will be able to break through free of that herd and hit the end zone. So that is who we are. We are ToneWell. I appreciate everybody's time for being here today, and I'm happy to answer any questions that I can.
So, thanks, Alex. Martin, I can't explain why you can't see the bottom of the slides because we can see them both. Sean, you see the entire slides, right?
Yes.
So we'll send you the deck, Martin, after. So can we talk a little bit about your approach, maybe using the VA as an example and another potential client on the enterprise pricing
Sure.
and approach?
So the enterprise pricing is interesting. So I'm going to make a differentiation between enterprise and channel. Okay. So enterprise, we are in a conversation with one of the big 5 law firms in New York City, currently in their corporate wellness world. We will start with a cohort of 30 of their tax attorneys, just to make it somewhat specific. And in that, we are building out a 90-day wellness program for peak performance with them. That is an enterprise opportunity. So we will sell them X amount of scans at a discount because they'll buy them up front. And then we will implement with them a 90-day program. That program will go through our general already built architecture. So there is that notion. Another notion of enterprise, though, would be working with a telemedicine or corporate wellness company that has a client base. And at that point, there is a potential for commission to be built in, depends on how people run their business models. B, some architecture that we need to build to deliver specifically the data of the back end, because what I cannot do, because we have built to be HIPAA compliant and FDA compliant, is personally go into the app, extrapolate Arthur's data. So we need just to build a bit of an on-ramp, off-ramp situation. But the notion in that is you're going through telemedicine, just like somebody uses FullScript for the fulfillment, they use ToneWell as one of the analytics, right? And in that, they come in, Arthur's going to go see Alex's practitioner. He does a ToneWell a half an hour before because he gets the SMS or the email or the WhatsApp. He does his 30 seconds of speech. Arthur gets that beautiful report that we've built out. Alex, as the practitioner, gets Arthur's raw data so that when I sit with Arthur and say, so tell me what's going on with you today or this week, what brought us here, I'm actually looking at a data set whilst I'm assessing what I'm hearing. That could be true for a kinesiologist as much of a Reiki healer and everybody in between. And now I'm going to describe the channel partner, because that's where we actually would need a scope of work and build something out. So a channel partner is somebody like the VA. The VA, though we are not codexed for, really is interested in suicidality. Okay. We are interested in mental health. They're the same, but they're not, obviously. So for us, our energy, sleep, hydration, mineral, all of the factors that a psychiatrist, other than the speaking part, wants to know, we can give out. What we won't ever do is the assessment that this person is XYZ. But the prompt engineering of the conversation, understand, we are frictionless, so there's no check-in, it's just go to your phone. And we are non-invasive, no blood, no urine, no hair. So in that, there's also no questions, which is one of the problems that VA is having. They ask too many questions so that people stop engaging. What we do is we give you the opportunity to just speak your mind for 30 seconds. Nobody listens to it. And then through our assessment tool, we can say, you know what? Arthur is fine. Leave him alone. Yeah, he could get better sleep. We're going to tell him to take a magnesium glycinate or some GABA or eat more bitter herbs, the very over-the-counter things that our recommendations are. if Arthur had other, we'll call it signals that come up yellow, right? Not green, but yellow, then somebody in Arthur's peer group should call Arthur and say, hey, buddy, how are you? And then if Arthur comes up red, full stop, red, then Arthur should get a call from his local VA clinic or hospital and say, we're going to see you tomorrow or when have you. And in that, there are a couple things that can happen. One, I unclog a system that's clogged. Two, I engage with Arthur where Arthur is, not being judged, not being questioned. Now, to our actual intelligence concierge side, in the way that we speak with Arthur, we have a contextual learning side and a temporal learning side. When did he say that? Tuesday at what time? Monday at what time? Wednesday at what time? Was it his birthday? Was it his anniversary? Was he mourning over something that happened, PTSD? And then context. What did he say? So did he just use an expletive because he's in a bad mood? Or did the expletive put up a red flag that somebody should call him? Kind of important. How are we moving him through we hear you, because that's what most people want, VA or not, to be heard and seen, and then deliver back to them a contextual conversation that says, no, it's not just you. We understand. And there are some simple things that I can help you with your cortisol or your GABA receptor or your digestion or your opportunity set. And in that moment right there is actually architecture that we would need to build, not for the how it operates, but for what the conversation is.
For the
And in
practitioner.
that's why that's a paid pilot channel partner, because we're channel are building it for the VA. Now, that could go to Seven Eagle or Four Pack or Wounded Warrior or Guardian Group, all of the people in the VA touch point, but the VA very much would want to have that channel, not just for the information output, obviously, but the way that it's engaged. What are they looking for conversationally? In our podcast that you and I had, and you posted on LinkedIn yesterday, just topically today, if somebody asked Alex, just from what Alex has done, hey man, I want to build a supplement. What would you build it for? My answer is Candida. It was Candida a month ago. It's Candida today. Because I see Candida prevalent, particularly on the East Coast, particularly north of Washington, D.C., and I'm willing to bet you most people aren't aware of it, don't know what it is, don't know how to deal with it. And it's a thing that causes bloat, stomach digestion issues, energy, lack. So something as simple as that for me, because I can look at large form data, I could say to somebody, I use that as the example for the VA. The VA might want to know that a percentage of people are saying XYZ, PDQ, TBI, PTSD, right? And that channel needs to be built. And since they would be our partner in that channel, there's a scope of work and a fee. So I'm just splitting up enterprise and channel, because enterprise is just large form organizations that we can get with tomorrow. Let's boogie, let's go. Yeah. Fine. Channel partner is somebody that needs something specific, that wants it specifically tailored, questioned, managed, put out.
So how do you measure success for the law firm pilot on this 30-person cohort? How are they going to measure whether they want to move on to other types of things?
That's a great question. And the answer to that is on the intention and attention of the individual. So this is a high-performing cohort. So specifically for them, it's not hours at the desk. Of course it is. It's a law firm. Huge, huge, huge. But what it really is the performative nature of the person at the desk. So it's not less sick days. It's when I'm there, how do I keep this person focused, happy, dialed in,
optimal performance, yeah.
Billing. Now, interesting thing is that a high performance person like that also maybe does a Tough Mudder or a marathoner or right. So they have this duality that if we can help you train for the marathon by sitting at your desk, actually, by saying, hey, let's work on this supplementation, or it's time to do breath work. A calendar indigestion is the next thing we're doing. It's why I don't mention it, but it's a simple thing to do. So if Arthur is working on his sleep and I, as ToneWell, give you an alarm at 3 o'clock, no more coffee, an alarm at 7 o'clock, turn off your screen, go for a walk, do breath work, all of those things. But I'm in a busy day. Yes, but if it's scheduled, they happen,
Yeah.
right? So their outcome is actually a peak performance outcome. Now, on the other corporate wellness side, we're trying to do a pilot program in cast insurance for movies and film. In those, if I shut down, I could lose $1 million a day. I actually don't insure everybody. I insure the 10 most important people because nothing personal. I can get a different carpenter on that day, but I can't get a different director. And I have to underwrite the director. So I want him to do a wellness check-in the night before so that I know that it's otherwise day of I'm losing money, right? Then there's the bon vivant of the actor that wants to know if everybody has COVID or not. So I'm not showing up unless, okay. It's far simpler for you to buy a $300 package for everybody to do a daily check-in so that I can say actor XYZ. What are you talking about? All 300 people did it. That's going to save you an enormous amount of money per day over well, I'm not showing up today because I heard that one guy cough, right? So that's also enterprise. It's working with inside of systems that allow for the opportunity of what daily wellness really means as a metric, let alone, the Four Seasons Maui you're going for yoga, let alone a Canyon Ranch right? But like just the opportunity of daily business where people want to know about their wellness opportunity.
Have you been able to, with a limited amount of scans, I'm saying that's just data, right? I mean, you arguably will have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of scans. Have you been able to see any kind of pattern, recognize any pattern that says, here's somebody that did a scan and then they did a rescan, so you have a baseline. Are you able to show improvement and
Yeah.
tie that back to behavior? Because it's all about, if you get a scan and it says what it says and you don't do anything about it, it's human behavior, right?
Mm-hmm. So had you come onto the website a couple months ago, we sold a 1 and a package of 3. And my argument for a package of 3 was actually for women because they're tracking their cycle, their menses, their ovulation, so on and so forth. You want 3, 1 at the beginning, 1 in the middle, 1 at the end. Fine. That was too vague. So what we worked on is what our 10-day reset is. It's why we will keep iterating moving out. And a 10-day reset is a short period of time. You're going to do a scan. You're going to work with our intelligence concierge for that period of time. And then you're going to do another scan at the end for exactly what you just said. So that you can see that XYZ went up. Oh, the PDQ changed. 1, 2, 3 is a little bit different. Now, the timing of it for base scan is actually on us. What I mean by that is that's the temporal side of it. If Arthur did a scan at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, his next one should be pretty darn close to that so that we can match, right? So one of the big questions though would become, how do you compare this to blood or oxygen therapy, whatever? And my answer is, well, you're going to have to do them at the same time. So that's like saying to me, I just did a blood test and I just ate a bunch of bananas and I'm going to do another blood test.
Yeah.
Right? I did a blood test today. 10 days later, I did another blood test. They're different. Your blood keeps changing. So does your voice. I just got off the phone with a really annoying client or whatever. I'm really enraged. So some of it, top line, might change. What you are deficient in does not. Your magnesium glycinate did not change because your
You were
rage
pissed at
score
somebody,
went.
yeah.
Right? So the baseline, I say that to say, is on us. That's where we've built a lot of our architecture. We have a thank you email, a follow-up email, a hey, have you checked in email, and a myriad of, because our architecture is sound in. That's what I said. The relationship layer really is the moat. Now, somebody might be able to go out. There are competitors, Sondon Health, Canary Voice. I don't pretend that they're not. They are B2B. They are qualifying the human being for the employer, but they're using voice. The Mayo Clinic uses voice for cardiology because it's much faster to tell if you're having a cardiac event by you talking to me than me getting all of the carts in here and getting you wired up. That time matters. So that people might be able to do. You're not going to be able to catch up to us on our relationships. And what is special about us is how we're analyzing. We're building for the consumer. There are a lot of enterprise opportunities that we really want to get into, but in the world of oversold wearables and hot, flat, and crowded wellness, I'm going back to the beginning slide. People are coming up short with, I don't know why I don't feel well. I am tracking everything and I still feel off. That is like an enormous market that people are missing out because everybody wants to be Nike. I'd rather be the shoelace guy, to be perfectly frank with you.
So we have a question. Other than your first mover advantage, what might stop a larger competitor from taking over the category?
Well, I think that to be perfectly honest with you, somebody that started in the music business, it's a lot easier to acquire than it is to build. So I don't think that nothing ever stops anybody from doing anything. Go look how many patents there were on the light bulb. What makes the difference is the person that gets to market, which is where we are. We're in the market, we're building every day, and we have empirical data, not just on what it is that we're building from our database, but how we're engaging with our consumer and the intelligence layer that we're building. So to be honest with you, our goal down the road is an acquisition. That's what we're looking into. So I think it's far more likely that somebody's going to knock on our door and say, hey, I love what you're doing, as opposed to, hey, I'm going to put those guys out of business.
Yeah. Thanks for your question. And Sabrina, here's a question. Could there be an API into existing apps, for example, Apple, other Aura, or any other of these applications, so you can tap into those existing consumer bases?
Absolutely. So that was part of the powered by, I'd rather be the Intel chip comment I made earlier.
Yeah.
We actually are an API layer. It is what we have built ourselves on. It's why we've built the technology to be very nimble and light. We are not constrained by Postmark, who's who we use to deliver our emails. Makes no difference to us. We are not constrained. Well, our real business is our translation layer and our audience understanding. So yes, we could absolutely be an API for a Whoop and Aura, for a Samsung smart fridge, for your Tesla car, for the hotel in the wellness resort where you walk in and you literally just talk to the concierge doorbell right there.
Yeah. So one of the things I'd like you to do for the group as well as me, explain again for me the score. Like you get a score on the report. Tell us what that score means.
Sure. So the score is what we think as your continuity score, your vitality score. It's not a health evaluation score. So there are two parts of this. One, there is the gamification that we've all been taught. So everybody wants to see a score. You just don't believe it's valid unless I have scored you.
And it changes.
It's really saying is, how in coherence are you with yourself? How in tuned are you with yourself? It's the only woo-woo thing I'm going to say in this entire presentation is, how in tuned with yourself are you? Our goal as a company is to help people build better relationships with themselves. That is what our business is. How to empower the person to start taking actions in their own life to have a better sense of well-being. Wellness is a sales category. I'm in the wellness business. Well-being is what we hope to deliver to our client base. So we had to come up with a score. It was how in coherence with yourself, not incoherent, but in coherence with yourself are you? How addressed to your own being are you? Because that floats. That is how you manage your mindset and your input and your attention. That's the thing. When somebody used to make me angry, I would flip off the handle. Now I learned to count to 10, right? I am more aligned with myself. So that's the number. Other than that, it actually, I'm sorry to say, helps people dial in the information we give them. Most people look at things, they read second, third, fourth, fifth. So when somebody sees a number, they want to understand what it means, and then they start reading. If I just gave you a 5-page report without an assessment, we did so much consumer patterning of people just being like, wow, that was a really long report. I don't understand what it says. And you said, did you read it? No, I just looked at it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
That's hard.
Yeah, you can't. It's the old Wall Street saying, right? You can't fight the tape.
Nope.
Human nature is what it is, so you have to deal with it. That's all.
Right.
Yeah. So, what's the next step? You've got all documents ready. People can have a conversation.
Yeah.
You're
So
taking in checks.
we are prepared to move forward. We've opened our round. We've brought in our first investors. We are looking to move as fast as we can. Time is kind of the essence in the market. It is, get into it, move fast. First adopters are moving fast. We've spent a lot of time on building the product. There's always room for innovation. We do it every day. We iterate every day. Our architecture is sound. So we have our data room built out. I have multiple decks. I'm out every day speaking, doing podcasts and having meetings. And I was at a wonderful wellness conference this weekend where I got to stand on the dais and pretend like I was somebody.
The room was full.
Oh man, here's the that's why I took the photo, because I wasn't the draw. I was the not warming up act, but the act before the headliner. Life was good. But we're looking for partnerships, we're looking for distribution, we're looking for capital. All of those things move the needle. Partnerships and distribution help us with capital because we have a good margin. Margin helps us with partnerships and distribution, right? We're at that ready to get on the dance floor in Mambo.
So, Sean, did you want me to read this, or did you want to?
Oh, no, no, I was just sharing it in with the chat. I mean, I just do think that this
So,
ToneWell Daily,
I
it
think
allows.
I think it only went to host and panelists. That's why I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
That's
and
okay.
I just, sure. I mean, I see ToneWell Daily as a way that we can go off and test all these other modalities that we're doing. So if we're going to go in and do PEMF mats or IR or any of these kind of ozone therapies, you can sign up for the daily, for a month sequence and do 30 days of these testings and doing the mats, and you should be able to see market improvements. If it's not doing it, what is not working here? Is the test not working, or is the mat not working?
Totally makes sense. Okay. Can you talk a little bit more about the source of the science and its validation?
Sure.
What are you actually measuring in the body?
Sure. So the source of the science for us is a license. So just for a bit of background, my background, as I said, is in consumer packaged goods. When I left the marketing and advertising world in 2018, I went into wellness technology, neurofeedback companies specific to PEMF caused by TBI, or hyperbaric chamber companies. That led me to a company in the PEMF space, which is where I met the science team. They have for 15 years been delivering PEMF, pulse electronic magnification frequency, for modality. They were FDA approved, specific for chronic immune disease, things like Lyme's disease and Crohn's. So in that, they had to technically figure out two very important things. One, how to change the sine wave, and two, how to bundle specific frequencies on said sine wave. The reason the first one is important is if you've ever done a PEMF machine and you feel like it's an amplitude machine, meaning it's just hitting you as hard as it can and electrifying you, is because they haven't changed the sine wave and your body is going, well, I'm used to that. No, thank you. So they just keep turning up the volume. As opposed to this company figured out the science of how to change the shape of the sine wave. So your body went, oh, that's new. Oh, that's new. And that's important because then the frequency that you bundle on it is for the specific opportunity. There's a difference between a torn meniscus or Crohn's disease or I'm in a bad mood because it's a new moon. All opportunities that frequency can help you with, not the same sine waves nor frequency. So in meeting this science team as a client, I said, well, that's very interesting. I have a background in music. I used to make records, and when I did, I would mix my record on an oscilloscope because when the signal was messed up, I would change the noise to signal ratio until it was clean. And they said, yes. And I said, cool, that's a delivery system. Can we analyze it? Because I'm a product person, my product brain went off, to which their answer was, yes, there's 100 years of research, Wilhelm Reich and Tesla, but there's 30 years of documentation and paperwork. That's how CT scans are built, MRI machines are built, so on and so forth. They're bombarding with specific frequencies, mapping out where on the body it's hitting and coming back. So we started our homework down that path using their patents for delivery and essentially reverse engineering them using published papers from Mayo, MIT, Hopkins, Harvard. MIT, as I mentioned earlier, has a company called Sondon Health. They're about $80 million of investment. They are specific to B2B, specific, like you're $1 billion trader. Should I allow you to do this trade? Talk into this microphone for 30 seconds. They're completely in their right mind. Go ahead. It's interesting. So when we built that, we then used computer learning for a period of time to test our theory. Is 1 equal 1? Does this equal the mineral load, the vitamin load, the hormones, the organs, the pathogens, the toxins, the physical structure, so your neuro pathway, let alone your musculature? And when we had a database that was true, 1-to-1, every time, mapped against peer review, white paper, clinical studies, we then locked those in. So when we added the cannabinoid system about a month and a half ago, it was about 5 months of testing. Is the CBD, CBG, CBL, and does it affect the where it's supposed to go? When the answer was empirically yes, it got locked in. So that's how we built our database. The science behind it is twofold. FFT, as I'd mentioned earlier, is the standard operating for making sound into zeros and ones so that it can be analyzed and broken up and redelivered. And then secondly, our database takes the acoustical, temporal, so how you spoke and where it's hitting, the vibrato, the breath, all of that stuff, and the Hertz marker. Top and the bottom of a scale, where's the valley, where's the peak? So for example, if you went on to YouTube and listened to 432 Hertz, you'd feel a lot better. That's actually hitting a specific part in the pineal gland, and it's known to be true. I say that to say it's a Hertz from a negative to a top, and that mapping is very well established. And what we did was we built along that. Now, I will also say that the science team that I've licensed this from are university scientists working in very serious labs delivering this. It's why we've licensed the product, because they cannot actually go into commercial endeavor. And then I will also say, for anybody that might have been here for the Newcom presentation that Arthur had of Jim Poole, I think a month or 2 months ago, they are using, because we'll call them a cousin of ours, they are using a similar licensed technology from the same root, so the same laboratory, to do what they're doing in Newcom. And Newcom, on their delivery, is the only company that has a patent to reset the nervous system using tonal frequency. So we're kind of standing on the shoulders of giants is the simplest answer.
Yeah, we're big fans of Newcom too. Yeah. Uh, Also, if you guys want to dig deeper, although that was pretty deep on the science, you can go to tonewell.co.co science on the website
Yep.
too.
Flash Science. We have a full workup there. Thank you, Arthur, for pointing that out.
That was Sean. He just reminded me. Uh, what happens to the voice recording after it's analyzed? Is it deleted, stored, or stored for future comparisons?
So the file itself instantly becomes a drop of water in the ocean. So we are not just HIPAA compliant, but we're actually very, very data privacy forward. So the fact is that the moment that you've started the funnel and are uploaded into our cloud to run through the analysis, your voice becomes a 0 and 1, and the voice file disappears. What is stored is the output. So the output of our analysis is a JSON script. That JSON script that holds the data of what the file represented is stored for future comparison. So if you did a one-off and you came back 3 months later, we remember when, oh, Alex, it's good to see you again. It's been a while. Oh, your test is better or worse than last time, whatever. And then within the corpus of you, as you're working through us, yes, we're always referring back. So contextually, the more we can learn about you, the better we can dial into the 150,000 things that we may see in your results. But the file itself, which is why I say kind of sarcastically, nobody listens to it as a voice company, because we instantly turn it into zeros and ones so that it is not just the anonymity of it, sure, but it actually is how the processor works. So we don't store that file. We don't have a heavy load of like an AWS or something like that storing endless voice recordings.
Not only that, it can't and won't be used against you, whatever you said.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. This is super cool. We got to run. This has been awesome. Sean, thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Certainly. Thank you for having me.
And thanks everybody for joining in and your questions. And someone said that was an excellent answer. There you go. All right. So, Alex, always a pleasure. Thanks for doing this. We'll make sure everybody gets in touch with each other post webinar, and we'll post this recording as well, and share it with everybody. And someone just asked if there was going to be a recording, and yes, there was. So
May I say that for anybody that we do engage with, we will obviously run some promotional demos for you so you can understand of all that I just spoke about.
yeah, you guys will enjoy it too. It's really, first of all, it's simple. And secondly, you have actionable outcome. It's not like it goes into the ether and you have to wait 6 months for
No,
something.
it's 5 minutes, not even 10 days for blood. It's 5 minutes for answers.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks for everybody being here. Alex, thank you.
Thank you.
Till next time.